My spouse thinks I'm IA, or Intimacy Anorexic. If you're watching this, your spouse has said you're intimacy anorexic and they're trying to solve a problem. First, let me share with you the pain they're in. They feel alone. They feel disconnected. They feel like they're trying to get love, begging for love, and they're in pain and they're trying to solve a problem. And so they went on the internet and they found this term, intimacy anorexia, and they read through the criteria and they said, that's what I'm dealing with. But here you are, you're the spouse, and you don't know if that's what you're dealing with. So I want to share with you. I'm Dr. Doug Weiss. I've been treating intimacy anorexia for over 30 years. I'm the president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy, and I want to walk you through this, okay? Especially if you're in a marriage and there's a lack of intimacy emotionally, and maybe there hasn't been sex or disconnected sex for years or even decades. And so your spouse is trying to say, how do I stop the pain? So in the next couple minutes, I'm going to walk through just the basics of intimacy anorexia. Keep an open mind, keep an open heart, and just listen. And if this fits you, then I'm going to give you some options for solutions, and I'm going to tell you what it looks like if you don't get better, or maybe another avenue to look for more information to solve the problem that your spouse is having or that you're having in your marriage. So let's walk through this. Intimacy anorexia is the active withholding of emotional, spiritual, and sexual intimacy from your spouse. Everyone else thinks you're a wonderful person, but your spouse feels alone, disconnected in the marriage, and has reminded you again and again, I feel like a roommate. What are we doing? How do we get back in love? How do we become lovers again? I don't feel like we're lovers. I feel like we're just roommates or friends. If you've heard that lots of times, pay attention to these characteristics. So quickly, the characteristics of an intimacy anorexic: too busy for the spouse. Now that may be just watching TV or being on your cell phone. It could be overworking, over-volunteering. Blaming your spouse for problems in the relationship. So if there's an issue that comes up, your first response is to focus on them, not you, or taking responsibility. Number 3, withholding love, especially the way they like to be loved. They've told you how to love them, but you seem to be unable to do that consistently. Now, if there's a crisis, you show up. But consistently, without a crisis, they feel like they don't get loved the way they want love. Withholding spiritually, not connecting on that level, okay? Withholding or disconnecting during sex. Withholding praise. Maybe you praise them to others, but they don't feel consistently, again, unless you're in a doghouse, that they're getting praised and nurtured from you. Unwilling or unable to share feelings with your spouse. That's an issue. Using anger or silence as a way to control your spouse. Think about that. Controlling or shaming around money issues. The spouse feeling like a roommate. Having ongoing or ungrounded criticism of your spouse. Now, here's what I want you to do. Maybe you have to rewind that a little bit. Go through those characteristics and honestly assess a few of 5 or more. If you do, you might have intimacy anorexia. Now, if you don't have any of these, maybe there's another problem. And if there is a problem, and especially if you're in a sexless marriage, I recommend our DVD, Sexless and Married. There's like 8 reasons why someone could be in a sexless marriage, and it may not be intimacy anorexia. However, if it is intimacy anorexia, I want you to get educated. Go to intimacyanorexia.com. There's the book on intimacy anorexia, workbook, there's groups, there's counseling. We do intensives. You can fly in, get a really jump start on healing, take responsibility, and you could live happily ever after. I mean, recovery from intimacy anorexia looks like being emotionally connected, spiritually connected, regular sex, dating, having fun, being lovers again, feeling like you want to be with that person, and that they're your friend instead of that Darth Vader enemy thing that you've created in your mind. It's a wonderful way to live. Now, if you are intimacy anorexic and you're in denial and you don't get better, your spouse is going to stay in pain. They're going to feel unloved, unwanted, disconnected. So their choices are to get dysfunctional, drink, overeat, overwork, stay busy themselves. even become anorexic themselves, or to leave, or to medicate. It's not good. So if this helps you, your spouse is trying to solve a problem. They're not trying to attack you. They're not saying you're bad. They're saying there's an issue and I want to love you. I want to work through this. So if they're having you watch this, that's the heart. They're trying to reach out and say, I love you and I want to be loved by you. They want the happily ever after with you. I have worked with literally thousands of intimacy anorexic couples, whether the man or the woman's an intimacy anorexic, and seen them get better again and again and again. Now it's work. So get informed, take next step. If you want, call our office, 719-278-3708. Someone would love to help you with taking next step, finding solutions, and really having your happily ever after.